Hey guys, Dan Lots of 922 Films here. Here's a little clip we decided to make using our old T2i camera. We decided to put some limitations on ourselves and use some old equipment to make a new short film. And then afterwards we talk about film limitations and how you can make your films better by using limitations. Check it out.
Fucking hate this job. Two, 355. 2355. 2355. 30 minutes. I gotta get there in 30 minutes. I should eat the pizza. I should eat the pizza.
It's your boy Dan, your boy Joel, back at it again with the talk.
Yeah, so we're just talking about what we did, and if you saw our little short film, you probably saw a little bit of a quality difference. We used a T2i this time around, and today we kind of wanted to talk about, working within limitations, working with old gear, working with the T2i, and why it might be the best camera for a beginner. And it's something that I've always said. Joel, what was it like kind of going back and seeing the old camera and working with it?
Well, first of all, my camera was dead because I had lost my charger to my T2i. So when I came over to Dan's apartment and he had the charger for the T2i,
that sort of kind of spurred everything on.
That's what sort of spurred it. I mean, I always forget how good the Canon line of cameras are at both video and photography. Just taking pictures with, I haven't really used the T2i as of late for much more of videography, just because I've been, sort of moved over to the Sony Alpha line. But so I've mainly used it for photography, but I'm just surprised every time I do use it for photography at how well it holds up.
Yeah, and I think the one thing is the color. For me, the color is pretty good. It's pretty solid, especially when you come from a Sony camera, which is, I love Sony to death, but the color is very hard to work with, and you have to be very specific with how you work with it. So I think that the one thing, it was very interesting to go back. I think the T2i has always been one of my favorite cameras that I've owned. I've owned the T2i, the 5D, the Blackmagic, and then the Sony has been my four main cameras. And I've used a few others, but those are the ones. And in my opinion, I think the T2i's got to rank as my favorite camera, because I think that there is something about that camera that just makes you want to create. It's so simple. It's simple that if you didn't know anything about filmmaking, you could pick it up and I think you can make a video in an hour. And I think that that's what makes it great, is that you have the simplicity of it. It's extremely cheap now. You can buy it for probably under $300 to $400. Yeah. I think even that's probably way higher than you probably only have to pay $200. So I think what makes it a great camera is you're getting 1080p, you're getting full manual controls, you're getting good color science, and if you have a light or two, you can light things pretty good. We just use natural light, and things looked pretty solid, I think, when you know how to expose. And I think the test we learned was, what is it like going back to a camera when you actually know how to use it? Like, you look at our old videos, and I'll probably show some little clips right here.
I'm all in.
Me too. But those clips, they're just really bad because we did not know what we were doing. We didn't know a single clue how to expose.
Yep.
We didn't know what the difference between shutter and aperture and ISO. So you just see grain, like a wash of grain. And there's still grain in this project that we did, but I think it was a very, very minimal comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, with the biggest thing, and when you were talking about the benefits of using the T2i, especially for beginners, is the manual control. Because there's a lot of just sort of handy cams where it's all auto, it focuses for you, you have to sort to zoom in. But when you use the T2i, having those manual controls and being forced, if you want to get specific shots, to learn how to expose properly and what different exposing techniques do, manipulating ISO or manipulating aperture, all of those things, and shutter speed, something that as a beginner you have to have. You have to have a manual camera. Not only that, but it also teaches beginners about using interchangeable lenses and not just having a fixed lens that you can only use to zoom in and out a certain distance.
And in my opinion, I think it sort of trumps the whole go out and use an iPhone argument. Yeah. I've never been a huge fan of that because I feel like ultimately most films are not made on iPhones. And I think if that's the only thing you have, go out and use an iPhone. That's great. But I feel like for $200, you get a camera that has way better manual controls. It might not shoot 4K, but you're actually probably getting better color fidelity, better, exposure controls, better stabilization. Almost every tool on that camera is probably better than a phone camera. And I think you can make a more beautiful film, like aesthetically, just from the shots. Mm-hmm. The quality of the sensor than I think you could ever get on a Canon on a iPhone. I meant to say.
Yeah, and I think the limitations are probably the best way to learn, because when you get that really bad grain on the T2i, which can happen a lot especially if you bump up the ISO, it teaches you to not utilize ISO
for everything.
Work on putting more light with actual light that you have, an LED light. Can light, if that's all you can use, or just take a lamp and put it closer to the subject.
Or even change exposure, just change the aperture. There was a part where we had to choose between bumping up to 800 ISO, and I think we ended up doing it because we wanted a lower aperture for a specific shot.
Yeah.
And then we bumped back, and then we brought the ISO back down, and then used the lower aperture number again. So sometimes aperture is what is the difference for those outside lighting situations. So.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look over the limitations that we use, because that's what we're trying to talk about here, we had a limitation of obviously the T2i, which is what we wanted to sort of push ourselves, see how far we could sort of push the T2i and the sensor it uses and how far we could go with that. We also used the lens that we got with the T2i when we bought it.
The kit lens, which is still a good lens.
18 to 55 millimeter. It's really good for beginners because, and actually Darius goes over this in one of his videos, but it's really good because it just has a range of focal lengths where you don't have to buy all your
you're getting like a package
exactly
deal.
You're getting a package deal. And there's also something about saying we use the same kit lens that we got with the camera when we were using it.
And you can tell just the difference. And another thing we did was we did not use we have a new F8N audio recorder.
Zoom F8N.
Yeah, and we didn't use it because it died. The batteries died, and we didn't have any replacement batteries. So we actually ran out. So we actually had to choose between quitting the short film, going out and getting batteries, which there was no way we were going to with the lighting.
Yeah. Or
run without it, and we decided, we'll ADR it. And then we got into post, and we thought, why just leave it the way it is?
And I think, surprisingly, the mic that's attached to the T2i, the inbuilt mic, is not that bad if you use it wisely. And thankfully, one of the things we did was whenever we had any dialogue that was important to the short film, the narrative of the short film, we made sure that all the dialogue was said when on a close-up.
Yeah.
When we were wide. So
we were extremely close to, I think every time we did dialogue, we were within maybe a few feet of the camera.
Yeah.
So that really helped rein in that limitation. Like, hey, you can, the camera mic is really good. Okay, maybe you have to shoot a whole film with close-ups. Does that suck? Maybe, but maybe it's an aesthetic for a short or a feature film. Maybe it's like, okay, we don't have a mic, but like we can shoot close-ups. Let's do a whole film with close-ups. That's something you could do. That's something you could do with the film is hey, we only have the ability to do close-ups or wide close-ups. Maybe make that your aesthetic, make it that your vision.
Another limitation that we use that was definitely utilized in a film as well was only using natural light. Only using, in order to go fast, in order to get our project shot, because we only have a limited amount of daylight hours, and we've learned with using the T2i that you need a ton of light to make sure that you can keep the ISO down and get a clean image on the T2i. So by using available light, although we did have a limited amount of time,
very limited window
to get everything shot, because we had to do that, we had to just use outside light and natural light, which it does look better, and especially when it's cloudy and basically, you know, you have
free diffusion
on the best lighting source that exists, aka the sun. You do end up getting a really nice light off of your actor or whoever you're putting outside.
It's like just a natural softbox. So maybe use cloud cover to your advantage, or if you want a more harsh look, shoot during the middle of the day. You know, you're going to get more of a harsh sort of around noon-ish time. You'll get a little bit more of a harsh sort of beat down look that might be what you're going for.
And isn't there a director that uses only natural light?
There's a few. I mean, I know Emmanuel Soderbergh, and I believe Emmanuel Lubezki shot The Revenant completely.
Okay.
Only using natural light.
So it's not just a tactic and a limitation that only amateur filmmakers have to use.
Yeah, you have Soderbergh, you have Lubezki, you having all these very competent filmmakers who use natural light. So I think don't allow your limitations to hold you back. Let them free you a little bit. Let them make different projects because of the limitations you have. And I think that is the number one thing. If you wanted to go out, make a short film, send it to us with something you had some limitations with, and it would be really cool to see it. Even if it's not for this project specifically, I would love to see just some film you made with a specific limitation. Allow yourself to be free of the burden of just all these traps of buying expensive gear and needing all this stuff to make a good product. That will come later, and that is something you'll have to focus on in the future. But right now, just focus on what is important, which is framing, lighting, location, story, all those elements. Put them in your head and figure out how to do it, and I think that will make you successful. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to be doing more talks like this very, very soon. So subscribe and enjoy all the content we have on our page. Thank you so much.
And don't forget to not allow your limitations to deter you from using and developing your creative muscle. That's probably the last thing I want to say.
Yeah. So subscribe. See you around.